The events in this program are inspired by a true story. Names, dates, and events have been changed. Viewer discretion is advised. On this episode of Bizarre Murders, Jorge and Miguel are famous wrestlers who also happen to be twin brothers and little people. These two larger-than-life personalities give new meaning to the expression sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But when one night goes too far, Jorge and Miguel face the ultimate fight of their lives.
Abita! Necesito Abita!
Nobody should die that way.
I've never seen anything that horrific.
One of the duties of a pathologist is to determine the cause of death.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required. Download Veely now.
Jorge and Miguel have been inseparable since birth. Unusually energetic, they grow up wrestling each other in their tiny, rundown home. Their father is not part of the equation, and their single mother has a tough time making ends meet. Without a television, they escape reality by listening to their older brother Guillermo's tales of the Mexican wrestling world. Guillermo is a pro wrestler who encourages his little brothers to join in on the fun. When they're teenagers, Guillermo sets the twins up with their first gig. They are billed as Los Gemelos Locos, the Crazy Twins. Jorge and Miguel are brash and wild, and at 4 foot 8 inches tall, ×2, they put on quite the show. In 1992, they adopt their adult wrestling identities, Hombre Salvaje and Cobra Voladora. And it doesn't take the tiny twins long to rise to the top of the Mexican wrestling scene.
Jorge and Miguel are rock stars in the Mexican wrestling world. But in all my years in the FBI, I've seen what can happen when fame puts you in a full Nelson. You can easily end up with 3 lifelong opponents: sex, drugs, and booze.
Over the next several years, the twins divorce their wives and deal with a different kind of wrestling. This time, the opponent is their growing alcohol and drug addictions.
Fiesta time, mi hermano! Yeah! Dude, that was a good fight!
After a big televised match against El Castigador, the twins are ready to celebrate. And for these boys, go big or go home isn't just a saying. It's a way of life.
In the short time that Fernando the bartender has been slinging drinks at El Cutre Hotel, he's seen his fair share of louts. But these two are especial.
Amigos, you think you can keep it down a bit? Huh?
But when he asks them to tone it down, it falls on deaf ears.
Wrestlers. We kept the belt, man. Yeah, 2 years running. Tag team, come on. Come on. Hey, come on, fill this up. Here we go. Oh, hi. Hey. Good. How are you?
Do you ever take your mask off?
No. We leave these on all the time.
Sure, there's a certain thrill meeting strangers in a dark, dingy bar. But in my experience, it doesn't always have a happy ending. There was this case where a guy was gagged and bound to his bed with his junk duct taped so tight to his body that when the medics finally got it off, he wasn't ever able to, well, do it again. Stranger danger is what we like to say in the FBI.
The ladies make it known that they are prostitutes and that El Cutre Hotel is their office and place of business. And for a handful of pesos, will rock Jorge and Miguel's worlds. The twins and their newfound friends decide to take their cocktails up to the room for a nightcap, or guro de dormir, as they say in Mexico. But it doesn't take long before the party turns into a coke-fueled bender.
Just because Jorge and Miguel aren't able to actually receive the services that were agreed upon doesn't mean that these pros aren't getting paid, because that's how it works in this world.
Hola.
The morning after, a cleaning woman from the hotel is doing her rounds and arrives at Jorge and Miguel's room. It's well after their checkout time. She tries to wake the twin wrestlers, but when they don't respond, she becomes concerned.
Abida! Necesito Abida!
For such small guys, Jorge and Miguel ought to watch that voracious appetite of theirs. Everybody's got to pay the piper at some point.
Jorge and Miguel are twin wrestlers known as Hombre Salvaje and Cobra Voladora. They're also little people who defied their hard knock upbringing and rose to the top of the Mexican wrestling world. But fame has its dark side, and they're on a downward spiral that almost always ends badly.
La Cobra Voladora.
¿Quién?
The Flying Cobra.
I don't know who that is.
From the Crazy Twins. Los Gemelos Locos.
Once the police arrive on the scene, both Jorge and Miguel are officially declared deceased. The question the authorities immediately ask, was there foul play involved? But with no signs of forced entry and no signs of assault on the bodies, they can't ascertain the twin wrestlers' cause of death.
It's empty.
When police search the room, they discover the wrestlers have been robbed. The twins are celebrities in the Mexican wrestling world, and their hardcore partying is well known. Could they have been the target of a robbery gone wrong?
Can you fill us in on what happened?
I was just coming in to clean the room like I normally do, and I knocked on the door.
While they wait for the results from the autopsies on Jorge and Miguel, detectives question the cleaning woman who discovered Jorge and Miguel's dead bodies.
I just found these guys and they were dead.
I'm not surprised that they're grilling the cleaner. I mean, I do the same, because you wouldn't believe how many times that the person who finds the dead body is really the person who put it there.
But Guadalupe the maid has a solid alibi for the previous night. She was at the quinceañera of her 16-year-old niece. The police then turn their attention to the hotel staff working the night before. They're especially interested in a woman who was working at the front desk, Yolanda.
So who called you into the scene?
That was one of the housekeepers that I have on staff.
Yolanda tells the police that she remembers the men. Whoa, big surprise. Who wouldn't remember two guys with luchador masks in a bar? I mean, really.
She insists that she made no contact whatsoever with Jorge and Miguel. But she says that the bartender Fernando complained to her after his shift about these two obnoxious hombres pequeños who he'd like to smack around real bueno.
So Fernando, you know why you're here.
The detectives move their focus to the bartender who served Jorge and Miguel the night before. They want to hear about their interaction and what it was about the brothers that rubbed him the wrong way.
Did you give them anything else besides alcohol?
No, nothing.
But when asked if he served anything other than alcohol to the little people, Fernando flies off the handle and gets very defensive.
Claim something for me I didn't do, okay? I didn't do anything. Nothing.
So here you've got this hot-headed hombre who was not only super pissed off with the little guys, but had access to what they were drinking all night, and now they're both dead with no visible signs of assault. And what the hell's Fernando thinking acting like this with the cops? Now they're gonna make him their suspect numero uno.
The twin wrestlers' autopsy results come in, and that's when the case goes from weird to bizarre. Los hombres pequeños have died from an overdose of tetrahydrozoline, HCI, more commonly known as eye drops. And the huge levels in their bodies can only mean one thing: they were poisoned.
The effects of tetrahydrozoline HCI when mixed with alcohol causes drowsiness, nausea, and amnesia. Kind of like what you'd find in a Rohypnol case, aka the date rape drug. Using tetrahydrozoline is a cheaper way of knocking someone out, but definitely not your typical murder weapon.
Toxicology reports confirm that for men of their size, death would only take 1 hour from when Jorge and Miguel consumed their drinks laced with the poison to when they died.
Turns out that everyone's favorite asshat bartender, Fernando, is no longer a suspect, because he left the building soon after the foursome went upstairs, and he wasn't at the crime scene within the timeline that the men were murdered. Too bad. I was starting to like him for this one, but that's the way investigation goes.
When detectives review past case files, they uncover several with a similar MO. Men who were drugged and robbed using tetrahydrozoline found in eye drops mixed with alcohol. But in these cases, there were never any fatalities. Detectives review the security footage from the hotel and isolate 2 mystery women seated with Jorge and Miguel. As far as the detectives know, they are the last people to have seen the twin wrestlers alive, which now makes them the prime suspects in the murder.
Okay, they're leaving. Wait, let's see if we can get her. There.
Their focus then turns to the women.
That's the first suspect.
Video security footage is one of the greatest things that ever happened to law enforcement. It's almost cheating. Solving a murder is still a major grind, but man, does it help when video is part of the evidence.
Second lady.
But without IDs for the 2 mystery women, detectives have no way of tracking them down. They release their sketches to other law enforcement agencies and the local media in hopes of turning up a lead.
Sure, the media can at times be a pain in the ass and actually hinder an investigation. But when you need to track a suspect down fast, the widest reach is your best bet, and the media is your best friend. It's all hands on deck to find the 2 mysterious ladies of the night who took twin wrestlers Jorge and Miguel to their hotel room for a little R&R the night they were poisoned to death.
Jorge and Miguel are famous twin Mexican wrestlers, but they like to party a little too hard and never woke up from a wild night with 2 prostitutes. Autopsy reports showed they died from a lethal dose of tetrahydrozoline, also known as eye drops, mixed in alcohol. A massive search is now underway for the 2 women who were last seen with the twins the night they died.
In other news, the twin wrestling brothers known as Los Gemelos Locos were found dead today in their hotel room on the east side of downtown.
Mierda, what the hell did you do to them? ¿Qué hiciste? I did what we always do.
Persons of interest. Anyone with information is asked to contact local police.
Didn't you see that they were little people? How much did you put in there? Why didn't you tell me? Now the police is gonna come looking for us.
It doesn't take long for the partners in crime to start unraveling. Angela and Rosa decide to separate while they can, hoping to lessen the chances of getting caught. With only scant physical evidence and the police sketches to go on, the cops are at a loss for how to track down their prime suspects. But then Angela makes a major mistake that leads to her capture.
Free tip: when you drug your marks with the intent of robbing them, it's not a great move to later use one of their cell phones. Why not just buy yourself your own burner with the money you just stole, right?
Angela is immediately traced, ID'd, and brought into custody.
Can you tell us what happened?
I didn't mean for anything to happen. We just met the men and we wanted to party.
Have you guys robbed people before?
The police grill her, trying to connect her to last year's string of arrests.
Have you done this before?
I didn't want to hurt those men. They were nice men.
Angela admits that she isn't a prostitute, never has been. She makes her living drugging men with eye drops, and once unconscious, she robs them. She's been at it for years. The dynamic duo are actually part of an all-girl gang in Mexico called Las Damas that specializes in posing as pros, baiting men to their hotel rooms, drugging them, and robbing them blind.
Can you tell me who this person is? This is Rosa.
If anything happened to those men, it wasn't me. It was Rosa.
Not only does Angela tell the police where to find Rosa, but she claims that Rosa is actually the brains behind the whole operation, and that she had nothing to do with it. She didn't poison them. Kingpin Rosa did.
She has done this before. I know this.
I can't tell you the amount of times we got someone to flip while they're in custody at the FBI. A little bit of mind games with some carefully placed pressure, more often than not gets the person talking. Friends until the end, right? Not really. The police have got to get to Rosa before she flies the coop, or possibly moves on to her next John.
Celebrity twin wrestlers Jorge and Miguel partied with the wrong women one fateful night. Turns out Angela and Rosa are part of a gang of women that pose as prostitutes, then drug and rob unsuspecting men. The police have Angela in custody and an APB out for her partner Rosa.
Where can we find her?
In an old apartment on the east side.
The detectives break Angela, and she reveals where Rosa can be found. Police track down Rosa holed up in a Fleabag motel on the outskirts of town. She's promptly arrested and brought in for questioning.
I poisoned somebody? No. That did not happen.
She said that you two were accomplices and you were the mastermind behind it.
Angela, she's the one. If those people were poisoned, maybe she did that? I didn't know nothing about that.
Shocking, I know. But Rosa doesn't agree with Angela's assessment that she's the mastermind. Not surprisingly, she claims that Angela's the real leader and that she was just doing what she was told.
She's the one who has been planning these things all along, okay?
Despite both women accusing the other of the crime, they worked as a team, carrying out the poisoning and the robbery together.
Salud, amigo.
The thing is, Mexican eye drops are a lot more potent than American ones. Go figure. I guess they have a more relaxed FDA-type situation. Now, a dosage of around 10 milliliters is enough to knock out an average-sized guy, but the same amount applied to, let's say, a 4'8" individual would be fatal. When Angela and Rosa drugged the little wrestlers, they weren't planning on killing them, just knocking them out.
Even though they didn't intend to kill Jorge and Miguel, Angela and Rosa are arrested for murder.
And if you knew how much to give them, we wouldn't be here right now.
The duo are sentenced to 55 years in prison for the murders of Jorge and Miguel. Twin wrestlers also known as Hombre Salvaje and Cobra Voladora.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get with a prostitute. It's illegal, and you could go to jail. That's if you're lucky, because as we just saw, you could get drugged and robbed, or even poisoned and die like a scumbag in a sleazy hotel room that smells bad and has bed bugs.
On this episode of Bizarre Murders, Donna and her daughter Shayna have lived a life of hardship. Shayna's illnesses have left her wheelchair-bound, and her mother has sacrificed everything to help her. But when Donna encounters evil at the hands of a stranger and her daughter goes missing, police race against time to save them and uncover a hidden secret. In a quiet, small town, Lana is concerned about her neighbors, 46-year-old Donna, and her severely handicapped teenage daughter, Shayna. Lana is worried because bizarre messages were posted on Donna's social media page earlier that day.
From an investigator's point of view, you want to pay attention to the difference in tone from the previous posts. Does it sound like a sweet, loving single mother who has selflessly raised her sickly, handicapped daughter? Or does it sound more like the writings of a deranged killer? My vote is for number 2.
Lana drops by to see what's going on. The house looks like it's been ransacked. Now, very worried about her neighbors, she calls the police. When no one answers the door, police enter the house.
Donna? Shayna?
He makes a horrific discovery. It appears that Donna has been bludgeoned to death.
Hey, dispatch, we've got a dead body here. No murder weapon at this time. No signs of forced entry. Send backup.
When you don't see any evidence of forced entry, you can often conclude that the victim knew their killer. It happens more often than we'd like to think. An unsuspecting person opens the door to their trusted friend or relative, and the murderer waltzes right in. Game over.
Police do a sweep of the entire house. The good news? The killer is gone. The bad news? So is Shayna. Shayna is confined to a wheelchair and can only travel with her mother's assistance. Everything points to a kidnapping.
Imagine the situation the police have on their hands. It stands to reason that the killer has taken Shayna. So somewhere out there, there's a severely disabled teenager whose chances of survival are slim. During my time with the FBI, I learned the hard way that if you don't find the victim of an abduction within the first 48 hours, it gets pretty grim, and it gets that way fast. There's a ticking clock, and it started hours ago.
Police interview Donna's neighbor, Lana. She tells them that Shayna has been having a romance with a man she met online.
He's really cool. He's really, really cute. Like, he makes me laugh. He's so funny. Does your mom know? No. Oh my God, she'd kill me.
His name is Robbie, and he's a 32-year-old resident of Utah.
Now we're getting somewhere. Whenever you've got a missing woman, the first place you look is her husband or boyfriend. 85% of the time, if they haven't done the deed themselves, then they've masterminded it. And I use the term mastermind kind of lightly.
Using Robbie's social media account, where he has helpfully posted his address, the police are able to track him down to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Really? Posting your address on your social media account? Oh, come on. That has to take the cake for one of the stupidest things anyone can do, much less a potential criminal who police are looking for.
They've come prepared for a violent confrontation with a suspected brutal killer.
Sorry, I was just in the bathroom. Come in.
Who's there?
Instead of finding a sickly, disabled Shayna, possibly tied and bound,
Shayna?
The police find an able-bodied, healthy young woman.
Shayna is obviously not kidnapped, nor is she disabled. Someone's got some serious explaining to do.
Shayna and Robbie admit they've been having a secret long-distance love affair.
The investigation has taken a bizarre and completely unexpected turn. So now the investigators have to switch lanes, throw their original assumptions out the window, and follow the breadcrumbs. And in this case, it's not a straight line.
Shayna, I've got to tell you, your mother's dead.
What?
She was murdered.
No.
I'm sorry.
What?
I know it's hard, but I have to ask you if you know anything.
Shayna claims to have no idea who would want to hurt her mother. Everyone loved her.
Shayna, I was under the impression that you were sick, even in a wheelchair.
Shayna tells an astonishing tale. For her whole life, she has been forced by her mother to pretend to be an invalid.
Shayna.
Mom, I feel fine.
She had none of the medical problems or illnesses Donna claimed she had. Even her age had been a lie. Most people thought Shayna was 18. In reality, she's 26.
Mother-daughter relationships are complicated at the best of times, but this takes it to a whole new level. You've got a mother who has somehow made her daughter believe all of her life that she's been sick. And you thought your mom was tough on you?
It's pretty much the wackiest case this cop has ever heard. Was Shayna truly a victim? Or a willing accomplice?
Sometimes criminals hide in plain sight, which can make them even more difficult to catch, and this is especially true of fraudsters like Donna. They fit seamlessly into society, and if you show them a vulnerability, they'll play you.
Who was Donna? And how did she get away with this brazen fraud for so long? Born and raised in Texas, Donna grew up with an abusive father. She had Shayna when she was only 21 years old and worked as an office cleaner to make ends meet. When Hurricane Ike hits and she loses everything, she packs up and moves north to Cheyenne, Wyoming for a fresh start.
I've been taking care of her all her life. I'm her mother, and I know what's best. She needs the surgery.
From the moment she was born, Donna claimed her daughter suffered from numerous ailments.
She's sick.
They travel from clinic to clinic, with Donna browbeating medical experts to provide the diagnosis she wants for Shayna. If one doctor doubts her claims or produces negative test results,
I'm gonna get a second opinion.
she simply goes to another. Shayna endures many unnecessary surgeries and even has a feeding tube inserted into her stomach. This allows Donna ultimate control. She can monitor what Shayna eats and can administer whatever drug she wants her to take.
Shayna, look at the beautiful colors in this book. Oh, what a cute little bird. My goodness. He seems to be quite happy to be there, too. Oh, look at these.
Donna treats Shayna as though she's many years younger than she really is.
Hey, sweetheart.
I like his shirt.
She withdraws her from school, telling everyone she is stuck with the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. By the time she's a young teen, Shayna doesn't even know her true age.
Oh, sweetheart.
I'm not feeling well. I think I might need my pills.
Of course, sweetheart, of course.
Shayna is, in effect, brainwashed to believe she's an incurable invalid. So the next time you think you've got problems with your own mother, think again.
Here's your check.
The public eats up the story of a single mom with a severely disabled daughter.
I'd just like to thank him.
It's been such a difficult time for me, us, and we really appreciate all the love that has gone into assisting Shayna. Being a single mom is hard, but with all the help from everyone, we really appreciate it. Don't we, Shayna?
Donna benefits from social assistance and donations.
This woman makes Joan Crawford look like a saint. Not only is she making her daughter ill, but she's making a quick and easy buck at the same time.
What no one knows is that Donna is exhibiting classic signs of a rare and highly disturbing condition.
It's going to be so helpful to us, isn't it, Shayna?
Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a disorder in which a spouse or a caregiver fabricates illness in their partner or child.
So let me spell it out for you non-believers. Basically, your loved one isn't killing you. They're simply making you sick so that they can get attention.
I would do anything for my daughter.
It's a controversial concept and not universally accepted by mental health experts.
So as an investigator, you've got to wonder, is it deliberate abuse or something that the instigator can't help? Is it a real illness or a way of rationalizing appalling behavior? In my 25 years of law enforcement, I've seen strange motives, but making your daughter believe she's dying so you can get attention, well, that pushes the crazy meter full tilt.
Shayna is forced into a life of deception until one day she makes a glorious discovery: the internet. Shayna discovers there's a whole world out there beyond the prison her mother has created for her, and she's determined to explore it.
Up until now, Shayna isn't a typical teen, but deprive them of candy and they'll want candy. Deprive them of a social life, you get the picture.
Shayna becomes quickly obsessed with the new opportunities presented.
Shayna sets up 3 secret social media accounts and communicates with people at night when Donna is asleep. And by people, I mean boys. And by boys, I mean men.
Shayna's first attempt at independence takes place at a comic book convention, a rare treat from Donna for her sick daughter. Shayna takes the first chance she can get and ducks out of Donna's view.
Shayna! Get your hands off my daughter, you pervert! She's only 16! I'm gonna call the police.
Beware a mother scorned, especially one with psychological issues.
And you are never going to leave me. And this, you are never going to see again. Ever. Ever.
Every rational human being has their breaking point. And the moment in the hotel room is the proverbial last straw for Shayna.
Donna eventually gives back the computer, figuring that Shayna has learned her lesson. But Shayna has other plans and begins plotting to escape her mother and their life of deception for good.
The internet has changed the world in a lot of ways, from how we interact with each other to how we form intimate relationships.
Enter Robbie. Maybe not the greatest catch in the world, but for an isolated young girl whose only means of communicating with the outside world is online, not bad. Together, they create a vivid online fantasy world. But fantasy soon crosses over to reality, and they start dreaming of a life together.
There's only one thing standing in the way of her happily ever after. Mommy dearest. So you might think to yourself, why not just run away? Shayna probably thinks her mother will track her down and destroy her one chance at happiness.
After a year of dating online, Shayna and Robbie finally meet IRL, in real life, at a movie theater. The movie can wait. They find a private spot to consummate their relationship. It's no honeymoon suite, but it'll do just fine.
Let's run away together.
What?
Yes.
I can't. My mom. No, she wouldn't understand. She needs to be gone for me to be with you.
Shayna reveals to Robbie her big plan to permanently erase her jailkeeper, AKA her mother, from her life. And she needs Robbie's help.
If I had a girlfriend and she told me on our first official date that she wanted to kill her mother, I'd run for the hills. But then again, love can cause people to throw caution to the wind. If I were to venture a guess, I'd say the fantasy world Shayna has created has crossed over from fantasy to delusion, and she's looking for someone to do her bidding.
Let's do it.
While Donna sleeps like a log, Shayna sneaks out of her bedroom and quietly lets Robbie into her house.
That's perfect. We gotta do this.
Are you sure about this?
100%. I've never been more sure about anything.
I love you too.
With Donna blissfully unaware, her beloved daughter prepares to cut her sleep a little short.
Years of psychological abuse may give Donna cause for regret, as her daughter, Shayna, executes her plan for freedom.
Children killing their parents is very rare. It's even more rare for a daughter to be involved in killing her mother. But Shayna is caught in a perfect storm. She lives an isolated life, and she has an unwavering belief that there is no other way out.
Once Donna is dead, Shayna takes $3,000 of her mother's money, and with Robbie, heads to his home in Salt Lake City, where she's ultimately arrested. The people of Cheyenne are utterly shocked. There, on the evening news, is Shayna. Her hands are cuffed behind her back. But more shocking than the murder charge is the fact that she's walking. Although the murder appears premeditated, given the unique nature of her circumstance, Shayna is allowed to plead guilty to second-degree murder. She's sentenced to 15 years in prison. Some are convinced Shayna's intent was pure evil. Others see Shayna as a brainwashed victim who made a desperate bid to free herself from her monstrous mother.
Mother-daughter relationships can be difficult to navigate, and a daughter killing her own mother can be hard to understand. But maybe Shayna inherited more from her mother than she realized when she entered this made-up fantasy world. She simply played her part in the fairy tale and rid the world of the villain.